Hello, everyone. Hi, Tayari. You are here. Hey, Kendra. Keandra. Let me see.
Hi,
Hi.
happy birthday.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing
You.
pretty good. I am delighted to do my first Instagram Live.
I know, and I'm so happy that you're doing it with me. You look great.
You are just glowing. You got that birthday energy.
I don't know what it is. It may be love. It may be good wine. I don't.
You
All
know
the
what? You
above.
made it another year. That is
And
always.
that is it. That is it. Um, we're going to give people a chance to join, but I want to tell you when your book, I went and found my book, and this is so special to me because in your book, when I said it might be love for the glow, in your book, you said to me, choose love. That was in
I believe
2000.
it.
That was in 2018.
Well,
Yeah,
it's been true since before that.
I'm telling you, you're right. So you're doing okay?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good, 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 good. See, I told you the connecting to live was not hard at all.
No, it was. I was anxious. I was here like, am I doing it right? Am I? Is this?
And
I was like, am I confused? Am I? But I'm just happy, and I'm just. I love the literary wind down.
thank you so much.
It is,
Thank you.
and I even I went and got some special wine for it.
Oh, okay, so we're gonna kick it off. I'm gonna go. Go ahead and tell me what wine did you get for Literary Wine Down? What are you winding down with?
Okay, so this is what I did. There is a black-owned wine shop just a couple blocks from my house. So
Okay.
I went there, and I told her I was going to be on the literary wine down, and I wanted a wine by a black-owned vineyard, and I wanted a wine with the story, and I wanted a story that I felt kind of went with my book.
Okay.
And I told her about American Marriage, and she was like, "We don't have no free at last Chardonnay, so that's not going to be what you're going to get." But she hit me to, I'm sure you already know about this because you know all things, but I didn't. I did not know about the McBride sisters.
Yes.
And since they are,
And I know which book you're gonna say that it reminds you of.
yeah, they're sisters that didn't grow up together. They met late in life and discovered they both loved wines. And I thought, well, that is the ideal wine to go with Silver Sparrow, since it's a novel about, there you go,
Yep.
separated sisters. And since this story has a happy ending, and look at the color, it's like a kind of a blush,
Yes.
sparkling. And then I said, okay, sparkling wine, somebody's having a birthday. It just all felt like it was meant to be.
Okay. So this is like not even playing. This is hilarious. So I'm like, okay, I'm always drinking rosé on the Literary Wine Down. So I said it's a little bit chill. It's today was supposed to be cool, but it ended up being like almost 80 degrees. But I went with a red blend. McBride Sisters, Black Girl Magic. So we're on the same wavelength. That
But
is so crazy.
I just, because it's funny though, when I asked the wine shop lady, I said, I want a wine by Black Vineyard with the story. And you know what she told me? She said, when you think about it, all Black vineyards have a story because
Yes.
every Black vineyard got here somehow against the odds.
Yes.
So it's just a matter of what story you want.
Yes. That is so great. So I'm glad you got the sparkling. It's actually very good.
I
Very
can't
good.
wait. I'm about to pop it open while we let people come on in the room. I'm going to.
Okay, well, go ahead and pop it open while we let them come in the room. I'm going to do my intro while you're doing that. So welcome to Literary Wind Down, everyone. This is the birthday edition. Today's my birthday, and I'm so honored to have Tayari Jones with me. She's a New York Times bestselling author of American Marriage, which was the 2018 Oprah's Book Club selection. It also won the 2019 Women's Prize for Fiction and the NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Literary Work in Fiction. She is, yeah, cheers! Cheers! She is also the author of Leaving Atlanta, The Untelling Silver Sparrow, and her latest short story, Half Light, which is now available on Audible. And I loved Half Life.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, you guys, a little bit of housekeeping. We've already kind of jumped in and just started talking, but if you are winding down with us, please share what you're winding down with in the comments. And if you have a question for Tayari, you know where to drop the questions in the question box. So I want to say happy early or past birthday to all my Libras out there. I try to shout everyone out when I know that it's your birthday, but happy birthday to all the Libras. And so I will say, I'm so happy to have you join me. I just think it's such an honor to have you here.
Oh, girl, it is a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes, I'm so excited. So I'm going to jump right into the Q&A and ask you, when did you first realize that you wanted to be a writer?
Well, it's kind of a trick question because I loved to write all my life. When I was a little girl, like a lot of little girls, you know, I had little books I would staple. I knew I enjoyed writing, but I didn't know that I could be a writer. Those are two different things.
Right.
I've often said that I think we sell young girls, we sell them short because there's this sense that when you're a young girl, particularly like once you hit puberty, you're a teenager or something, people only want to know, is this girl nice or is she not nice? You know, that's it. And so if you like to read, people just think it's your niceness, not that it's your gift or your talent. Yes. I can't remember any time growing up that anyone ever said to me, so what are you writing? What are you thinking? But luckily, I went to Spelman College, and it was at Spelman that I met a writer, and she was my teacher. And one day she asked me, so what are you thinking about? And I got ready to tell her, and she said, no, write it down. And with that, she became my first audience. It was Pearl Clegg, who Pearl, you know, is well known now, but at the time she was just an adjunct professor putting together a living, teaching a class here, teaching a class there, some self-published books. But she demonstrated to me what being a writer looked like, how a writer was in the world.
Yes. And because you brought her up, I was going to ask you about her, but I'm going to go ahead and jump right in because I had some other questions about your publishing journey, because I heard another great story about Silver Sparrow and how that became published, which is just amazing because I'm a fan of the person that put your hand in the other person's hand.
Aren't we all her fans?
But you mentioned Pearl. And so I just think it's a wonderful, she's a mentor to you. She's been for a long time. And both you guys were Oprah Book Club selections and you're still friends now. Sorry about the phone. Can you tell me a little bit about what her mentorship has meant to you?
Well, you know, it's so funny. She loves to say that she's not my mentor, that we're friends. And when she says that, I feel like she's kicking me out the nest. And I'm just like, no, I'm staying in this nest. Everybody needs a nest to be in.
Yes.
So, but when I met her, like I said, I was a kid. I was only 16 years old when I went to Spelman. So I was the youngest girl in the class. The creative writing class wasn't even open to freshmen. I got in by forging my advisor's signature. I got in a lot of trouble, but I just wanted to try and be a writer. So she just, you know what she taught me? I think the most important thing that she taught me was this, that you write the story your spirit calls you to write. And she also said this to me. She said, I want to be paid for my writing, but I don't want to have to write for money. She advised me to always keep my day job, because if you have a day job, if you have a dispute with your editor and they want to change your book, you're not choosing between keeping the lights on and respecting your vision.
Right.
Because people always say to me, I can't believe you're still teaching. But my teaching, one, I love my students. You know, my parents are teachers. I love my students. But also, because I have the day job, I'll turn in the book when the book is ready. And that's one of the main things she taught me.
Yes, that is amazing. I watched I think you guys did a talk at Emory. Mm-hmm. And it was a sister's writing. And I watched that. And one thing that I really loved about, was in my Silver Sparrow selection since we've moved around. But one thing that she said was that she was from a different generation. And what she loved about being in her generation is that she had people in front of her that could pass things back. And therefore, she wanted to pass things back to a generation behind her. And so she said she just felt like someone paved the way for her. So she wanted to do the same thing, you know, pay it forward to someone else. And she just really talked about how precious you all's relationship has grown over the years.
Well, I mean, I feel so blessed to have a mentor. Like, I meet so many people who say they don't have a mentor, because finding a mentor is not just a matter of finding someone older than you. Y'all
Right.
have to click. And the mentor protege relationship is very, it's a two-way street. Like, she helped me so much when I was a little pup. But then, you know, once internet got invented, then I helped her. As a matter of fact, I'm going to carry her ring light tomorrow. I saw her do a live. I was like, I need to get Pearl a ring light. But, you know, but we teach each other, because also
Yeah.
the world of publishing is always changing, and it's always the same. I feel like my job with her is to tell her about the things that are changing, and her job with me is to tell me about the things that always stay the same. For
Right.
example, when I found out An American Marriage was going to be an Oprah's Book Club pick, I called her to talk about it because she had been an Oprah's Book Club pick.
Yes.
And so she helped me know what was coming down the pike, not in terms of actually the Oprah part. That was easy. Oprah makes everything really easy for her book club picks, but what it was going to be like for my place in the world to have changed, and to remind me how to keep myself locked into who I really am. Like, you've never been who they say you are.
Yes.
So before you were successful, you weren't unsuccessful because they didn't say you were.
Yes.
And now you're not successful because they've decided to make you successful.
And I think there was a portion where you guys talked about having and finding value in yourself and in your work, not really striving for awards or lists and things like that. You know, you knew that what you were doing was important and it was your passion. And so I just really enjoyed that conversation.
Well, you know, when I started out, lists and awards were not available to me as a Black woman writer. I think we've forgotten how much things have changed.
Yes.
But, you know, I started publishing in the early 2000s, and An American Marriage is really my first book to even be reviewed by the New York Times. Young people now, they publish books, they expect to be reviewed in the Times, and they should.
Right.
But when I was coming out, they would like pick one Negro per generation, like a boy and a girl. And that was it for everyone. But for me, it allowed me to grow, because when they said 10 best books of the year, I didn't even look at it because I thought it didn't have anything to do with me.
Right.
And I was able to grow and choose my path based on my heart, not on something external. And I think that's a blessing. At the time, it didn't feel like a blessing, but now I understand that it's a blessing.
Right. It is. So let's talk about the publishing journey.
Okay.
How was that for you? Because I mean, like I said, you have Leaving Atlanta. The first 3 books are all set in Atlanta, right?
Everything I've ever written in my life is set in Atlanta.
Because you're from Atlanta.
I'm a Georgia peach, born
and raised. Yes. And so, will you ever let's talk about the publishing journey for you.
You know, my publishing journey, I don't really have a great story like some other people have. I think for me, I always tell people, everyone pays their dues, but the toll booths are in different places for different people. So I always wanted to write. I didn't know how. I didn't know anything about the industry. I only knew story. And I had written my book, Leaving Atlanta, and I'm so glad that when I wrote it, I had no information about the industry. I didn't even know what an agent did. And I'm glad, because if I had, I don't think I would have written an eccentric novel about 3 fifth graders dealing with the Atlanta child murders.
Yes.
A book that when it's over, you don't even know who done it. Because everyone would have told me that's not what publishers want. Publishers want a book that can be summarized in 1 sentence. I never heard that. So I just wrote what my heart told me to. And then I was told I needed an agent. And so this lady I met introduced me to her agent. The agent took me on. But then, and I told everybody, because I was in graduate school and I went to university, where did I go? Arizona State University. You know, there weren't hardly any Black people. Someone had started a rumor that the only reason I had been accepted into the programs because I was Black, some affirmative action, and I had funding and they didn't. So like, I felt like Rudolph, like no reindeer games, none. And then I got an agent. Rudolph had an agent. I felt like, you know, Santa said, Rudolph, with your nose so bright. So I felt like I was walking around all the time with my nose on, like, I have an agent. I have an agent. And I just felt so vindicated. But girl, the agent dropped me because I wouldn't rewrite the book as a children's book.
Really?
And the agent dropped me. And the agent dropped me by cell phone. And this is before everybody had a cell phone. So it was like this really like high class kicking to the curb. And it was a dark night to the soul because I had been around there, you know, like I said,
telling everybody.
So then they came, then Rudolph had her nose turned off. And I went to talk to another writer, Black woman writer, Jewel Parker Rhodes, who was the chair of my thesis committee. And I told her what happened. And she said, I bet you won't do that again. I was like, no, ma'am, I won't. And I'm glad I learned that I never flex. I do not flex ever because of that talk.
That's good advice.
And so she introduced me to her agent, who's my agent to this day. You know, we got a book deal for Leaving Atlanta pretty easily, got one for The Untelling. But then when I wrote Silver Sparrow, they told me that the publisher wasn't interested in me anymore because I wasn't making any money for them.
Oh.
Now, I knew I wasn't making any money. You notice you're not making any money, but I didn't know it was that bad. I had gotten some reviews. You know, I could give a reading here or there, sign some books, but they were like, sorry, this book is just like your other books, and your books don't sell. Bye-bye. I couldn't believe it.
The audacity.
Well, also that they had taken my life's work and boiled it down to a number.
Yes.
So then, okay, I didn't know what to do. I was really devastated, but I tell you what kept me going. Right. I teach. And I tell my students what Pearl told me is that you write a story because it's what your heart calls you to tell. You don't write to an agent, an editor, a publisher. You write the story you think is important. So how could I face those young people every day if I was going to shut down my writing because of what some publisher told me? Right. So just so I could hold my head up and not be a hypocrite, I just kept the story moving just a little bit at a time like this. It was tragic. And I was too embarrassed to tell anyone. So I really felt my career was over, but it was Silver Sparrow, and I was writing it as a gift to my own sister. So if I'm gonna say I'm writing this as a gift to my sister, how am I gonna abandon it? So I finished the book, happy story. I finished the book, I printed it out, I put it in a drawer, I sent one copy to my sister, and I felt like, well, God wanted me to write this story. The story is written, I've done my part. And I said, you know, in some ways I'm blessed to have written 2 books that were published.
Right.
But I had one speaking engagement left on my calendar. And it was in Florida, and I was reluctant to back out because I was one of the few Black people, and I didn't want them to say, well, we tried to go diverse and she didn't show up.
Right.
So I went to the thing, and right before I got to the thing, I got a call like 2 days before, and they said they couldn't find my first 2 books because they were out of print. I was like, what? I mean, I knew that they had taken my future, but they had taken the work and made it where the books weren't available anymore. I was devastated and humiliated. So I thought I was going to go give a reading. There wouldn't be any books for me to sign. People were going to, you know, it was just so embarrassed.
Right.
So I got to the event, and there was a books vendor, and he had like a little tiny stack of my books. And I said, oh, where did you get those? And he said, oh, they came in this box. And he held up a box, and on the box, I saw my daddy's handwriting. And I called him. I said, Daddy, what did you do? He said, well, you know, we had a few books at the house, and then I called your uncle because I figured your uncle hadn't opened those books. Those are new books. Don't let them sell them as used because your uncle didn't use them. He said, so you sign those books, and if anybody else wants a book, you just tell them you sold out. It wouldn't be a lot.
Oh, these are love dads.
So
oh my gosh.
Okay. So I gave my reading, but I was still a little crestfallen, and I signed the little books, and this lady came, and she said she wanted to buy a book. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. I sold out. And she said, that's so strange because I heard your books are out of print. I heard you can't get a contract for your next book. And I was just horrified that here's somebody, you know, all this trouble I've gone through to save face, and somebody just laid it all out. And I told her it was true. And she said, but I can help you. And I didn't know what to make. You meet a lot of weird people on the road. One day I'll tell you about that time I got kidnapped in Martha's Vineyard, but that's another story. She put my hand in her hand, and she carried me through the crowd, and then she literally put my hand in the hand of a publisher.
Oh my goodness.
I was apprehensive because I knew the publisher had already rejected me because of my numbers, and so I didn't even want to go into it. You know, I could just want to get away, but the publisher had me tight, and finally the publisher said, okay, I see you're trying to get away. Just tell me what your book is about. I said, it's about 2 sisters, and they don't know their sisters, and, you know, this happens. She said, well, could you send it to me? And I said, okay, but I wasn't going to send it to her because I knew that everyone was rejecting me because of my sales numbers in the past.
Right.
She said, well, I can see you want to get away, so I'm going to let you go, but before you go, tell me. She said, how do you know Judy? And I said, oh, I don't know anyone named Judy. And she said, no. I mean, Judy Bloom, who just introduced us.
I'm telling you, when I heard the story,
it's just, that is the most incredible thing, because it was as though my nerdy childhood.
And look at me,
Come
I'm
to
tearing up
rescue
because
me.
when I heard this story, I mean, it blew my mind because I
I
love
turned
Judy
to
Blume.
tell her thank you, and she had
Hold,
vanished in a
let me
puff of
toss this
smoke
phone out.
like a real fairy godmother.
Goodness.
Pardon, while you handle your phone, I'm going to drink some more of this delicious McBride Sisters.
It's because I'm not, my cell phone's off, and so I guess people are calling me for happy birthday. I'm sorry.
I know, it's your birthday, girl.
I forgot to turn it off.
Happy birthday.
I'm sorry. But yes, that story was incredible. It's like you said, the inner young girl in you with Judy Blume. It's just.
Yeah, all that money I saved up for the Scholastic Book Fair.
To get, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I mean,
and even like the racy ones like Forever and Wifey.
Yes, all of them. We thought we were doing something reading those. So speaking of Silver Sparrow, let's talk about Silver Sparrow.
Okay.
Inspiration.
Well,
I know you said it was to your sister. Freezing.
People calling me too. People call me, it's not even my birthday. The first line of Silver Sparrow is, my father, James Witherspoon, is a bigamist.
Mm-hmm.
My daddy, Mac Henry Jones, is not a bigamist. But like a lot of people, I have two sisters where we have the same father, we don't have the same mother. We were not raised together. My sisters are 10 years older than me. I didn't really know them at all when I was little. I barely knew them. So it felt at once like I both had a sister and didn't have a sister. It was like I had a sister here in my peripheral vision, and I would turn my head and there was no one there. And as I got older and came to understand life, things and relationships and what it means to have this mama, that mama, I wanted to write this book because I wanted her to know I've been thinking of her all my life. Yeah. And so when I started writing, I was writing about someone with a sister 10 years older. Frankly, that's not interesting. There's no scandal there. 10 years before my father ever met my mother, he had another.
Right.
That's not the stuff of a novel.
Right.
So I did what I learned in creative writing to say, bring the walls in and bring the ceiling down. It means you take the situation and you intensify it. You make it where the characters can't escape their destiny. So I made the girls the same age. Mm-hmm. They live in the same city. And the father is seeing both their mothers.
And it was a story. It's just, and I think when I hear people talk about it, they talk more so about, the bigamy, but I just think it also just was a story about, people wanting to be loved and wanting to be seen. I love the characters.
I love those girls. And I do think that it's not so much about husband sharing, which is bigamy. It's more about father sharing, because the thing is, this man has two daughters in two different households. He can only live in one place. When you think about it, when we think of custody, we think of parents having custody of children, but children also have custody of their parents.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I was so hurt when he told her that she was the secret. I just, we're not giving anything away, you guys.
No, that's early. Yes, because when I was first writing it, I thought, oh, this girl, the secret daughter, she has to keep a secret. And then it occurred to me, no, this is not about keeping a secret. This is about being a secret.
Yes.
And that is the age-old question of Western literature. I mean, if you go all the way back to the Greek myth with Zeus and Hercules, those are all Zeus's secret children and his wrath of his wife. And if you go back in the African-American tradition, that is what every slave narrative is about. I am the child of this plantation, yet not the heir of this plantation.
Oh, speak on it. Yes, absolutely. And so I think you were going to share some Silver Sparrow covers.
Actually, you know what? I only have one foreign. I have some other Silver Sparrow covers, but I don't have them. But so when it came out in the U.S., the hardcover was brown with two feathers.
Yes.
I think one of the things in the U.S. with book covers, if you're Black, the publisher doesn't advertise that because they feel that it limits you.
I am so glad so you just answered something for me. I'm so glad that you said that, because I often find some of my favorite covers by Black writers are from the UK.
Because, well, see, I think it's like this. I think in the U.S., if it has a Black cover, Black people on the cover, it seemed that, oh, this is just for Black people and it ghettoizes you, as they say. As a matter of fact, once a publisher said to me, I don't want to ghettoize this book by putting a Black face on the front of this book. And I said, you do realize I have a Black face on the front of my head. You are hurting my feelings. Are you saying that my body is ghettoized?
Yes.
But for the soft cover of Silver Sparrow, the first time, they did put a Black person without a face because they needed the cover to be warm, and everything they did wasn't warm. But I said, I don't like this cover. I said, this girl looks like she's in a Little Rock Nine. She looks like she's finna integrate something. Yeah. And then the person who made the art said to me, you don't know how hard it is to find pictures of Black girls that look nice in the database they use. So she may look like I said, this looked like a sequel to The Help, but she said, I wanted her to look like a nice girl. And that really shook me to think of the images. But so then when An American Marriage came out, they wanted to sell it to the people who wrote American Marriage, so they went without people again. Yes. It kind of has a vibe. But the one from the UK, I love it. It's so pretty. You want to see it?
I want to see it. Yeah, I love that. I have to get that.
And it kind of matches. Do you have the UK cover to American Marriage over there?
So I do.
Yeah, see? So they match. They go together.
I love it.
It makes me feel so special to have a set.
So I was over in London for my daughter's 25th birthday. I think it was last year, maybe. It was last year, 2019. And I went to Foyles. I said, I've got to find this book. And they only had one copy. But guess what? It's printed upside down.
Oh.
Yes.
I'll send you one. I got a whole bunch.
But let me tell you, I wasn't even mad. I didn't realize that until I got back to the hotel. But I didn't go back because it was the only one they had. And I said, what an anomaly. I got a book that is printed upside down. Look at that. I wasn't even mad about it.
That's all right. I'm totally gonna mail you one. I'm completely gonna mail you one. The book has been very popular in the UK.
But look at, and then this one even says moving and Barack Obama.
That's another thing. So in the US cover, they did not put Barack Obama's blurb on the front.
And how could you not put, that's the biggest blurb you could have.
I know. They put it like inside the book, but they didn't put it on, hell, I want to get moving Barack Obama tattooed on my forehead.
A tattoo.
And then like, here's some more American Marriages. This is, I think this one is Czech.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
And that's gorgeous. This one is Spain. See the lock?
I like that. I like the lock.
And then this one is somewhere else, but the bridge turns into birds.
Yes.
Yeah, there are about 20 of them. Most of them take the American one and put their own language on it.
I read that there's it's 24, over 24.
Yeah, it's a lot of them, and like some of them changed the title. Like in German, it's called In Good Times and Bad Times. Another one says Our Marriage, and Silver Sparrow has all different titles. Silver Sparrow just does not translate. So in French, it's called Ashtray Kisses, and in German, it's called The Second Best Life. So of all days, like everything is going on today. So let me just say, I have a lot of background noise. Somebody's cutting their grass. I'm over my mother's house, and there's a lot of noise downstairs because I didn't know there was going to be a surprise party for me. Oh, girl, you got to go. Okay, let's wrap. No, and then my son. I'm here like preparing, setting up the light and all this kind of stuff, and my son walks in, and he lives in California, and I didn't know he was coming. So it's just been I'm all teary and everything. But anyway, let's talk about American Marriage because we haven't talked about that yet. Okay. I have to talk about American Marriage. That's where we met when you were on book tour for American Marriage. Oh, yes. Yes. I can't believe it's only been that short time. I know. It seems like I've known you forever because we talk all the time. Yes. But we have had some fun. We have had some fun. So I wanted to talk about American Marriage, and where did this story come from? I had so much. Oh, I just don't know. Just where did the story come from? Well, I wanted to write a novel. I wanted to write a novel, something about the idea of people being in prison. I didn't know the angle, but I wanted for the first time to kind of engage issues in my work in a way I normally don't. Because before, I really felt as a Black writer, there was so much pressure. Like everyone wants you to write a book about racism. And I was like, y'all can't make me write. My life is not racism. My life is my life. There's racism in it, but you can't just sit here and make Black people just sit over here and bang out books about racism all day. So
Right.
I was writing books, you know, like I said, about my own memories, etc. But then, okay, if I'm allowing what people tell me to write to force me to write something else, I'm still letting what people tell me to do tell me what to do. So I decided that I was going to try to
Yes.
switch it up and engage with the issues of the day. But when I was trying to write about wrongful imprisonment, I didn't have the fluidity you need for a novel because I had a purpose. I was like, I'm writing about wrongful conviction. And there's nothing really complicated about it because we call it wrongful conviction because it's wrong.
Right.
That's that. But I was at Harvard doing research and I need to give a presentation and I didn't have a presentation to give because I just had a problem. I didn't have a story.
Oh, okay.
You know, they say if a novel is going to be any good, it has to be about people and their problems, not problems and their people. So I had a problem and I was trying to stick some people to it. But I was at home in Atlanta and I heard a young couple in the mall. I could see they were in love and in trouble. And I heard the woman say, clear as a bell. She said, Roy, you know you wouldn't have waited on me for 7 years.
Oh.
I looked at her, I looked at him, they looked at me, and all three of us were in agreement that he would not have waited on her for nobody 7 years.
Right.
But then he turned to her and said, I don't know what you're talking about. This wouldn't have happened to you in the first place. And again, we were all three in an agreement, but it did not help their argument. And I knew that I wanted to write about a young couple separated by a wrongful conviction. Mm-hmm. And I knew it was also important to me that I not try to write about some perfect couple separated by a wrongful conviction. Sometimes when Black people suffer racism, we feel they have to be saintly to make the point that racism is bad. But racism is bad no matter who it happens to. Their marriage was a little rocky, but that doesn't mean what happened to them wasn't wrong.
Right.
It doesn't mean that their interpersonal problems doesn't negate what happened. But if people are going to see themselves in a work, they have to see themselves as people really are. And how people really are in couples is messy.
Messy. I mean, it's like when someone gets killed when unarmed, it's everything in their past comes up to blame them for getting killed.
Right. And it doesn't matter their past. They should not have been killed.
Yes.
And that's how I feel about this marriage. These young people didn't have a chance to figure out if their marriage was going to work.
Exactly. Because they were only married for 18 months and he goes to jail.
Yeah, you know how when she's a little girl, her daddy tells her when you're Black, you have to be twice as good to get half as much. I feel this is what happened in their marriage. Lots of random people are married. Staying married should not be some major feat. But with her husband being wrongfully imprisoned by a racist justice system, just to stay married, they have to be super couple. She has to be super wife just to stay married to someone that she can't even be with. So she needs to work 3 times as hard to have only half a marriage.
Yes.
And then she's judged so harshly when she's not Superwoman.
I judged her harshly.
And you know why? But you know why you judged her harshly? Because that's the story we're always told.
Yeah. And I told you that I judged her harshly. Yeah. I told you I was on a team. He said, well, there are no teams.
There are no teams. But we're taught that Black women have an endless capacity for sacrifice and suffering. And sacrifice and suffering is what makes a Black woman worthy of life.
Yes. And so I know you saw on the internet all the teams, Team Roy, Team Celestial, Team Andre. I mean, I know you saw all of that. And I was definitely Team Roy, but I think when we saw each other, you told me, well, you can't have a team.
Yeah, you got to be Team Justice.
Right. Team Justice. And so one thing that I wanted to bring up in the book that was a revelation for me is that when I was reading the book and he was wrongly convicted, you never said the race of the person.
That's true.
I assumed the race. And that was a very powerful thing for me. I assumed that it was a white woman, but you never mentioned, and I had to go back and read again and say, wow, you never mentioned race. It was just my biases or how society is that made me assume that it was a white woman that wrongfully accused him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about racism is really not the race of the accuser, it's the race of the accused when the racism really kicks in. But I didn't want to spend too much time on her. I felt like I felt like if we spent I didn't want to relitigate that case and relitigate Emmett Till, and we wouldn't get to, that's the thing. The reality of like a white woman accuses a black man of rape, we get right in that loop and we can never get on to his family, her family, all the other things. So I was trying to like get in and out of that thing and keep it going. Because I really want to look at the complexities and the expectations of their relationship and of their family's expectations of them.
Yes.
And so I just have one more thing to say though about the waiting, because I see the waiting coming up on the thing a lot. We act like a woman can wait, that a woman's chastity can get somebody out of jail. Like you can just abstain until the judge gives him mercy. That's really not how it works. And we just have this kind of fantasy. But I got to tell you, when I was in San Antonio, I met a man who was really well-dressed black man, and he said this same thing had happened to him in his life, that he had been arrested for a crime he didn't commit. He had been married, and he said he told his wife, you need to divorce me, because she was in the law profession. He's like, this will, mess up your trajectory. You should divorce me and go on with your life. And she divorced him, and he said, he was like, what? But he said he came to realize that it was selfish of him to not want her to have a life.
Right.
So anyway, he got out, she remarried, he got out, and now him and his wife, her and her husband, they go on cruises and stuff.
Oh my goodness. But I think this is another thing we talked about, and people expect the woman to wait, but how often will the man wait?
It's not often. Like if you go to prisons, if you go to a men's prison, because I do a lot of events in prisons. I've been to visit prisons all over the world. I even went to visit a women's prison in Dubai. But when you go to prisons,
Hi, Thomas.
You see lots of people there to visit men, mamas, girlfriends, all kinds of people. But people don't really visit the women's prisons very much. Because one reason, her mother can't come visit her, because her mother probably has her kids. And the prisons are so often far away from where people live. But the thing is, men don't often wait for women. But also, this idea of having someone to wait. They say that when someone goes to prison, both people are in prison, but that's really not true. Only one person is in prison. Both people are suffering, but they are living very different lives.
Yes.
And like Celestial says, a relationship is not about love only. It's about sharing your life. And they're not sharing their lives. They are not connected. So it just kind of evaporates for her. And, relationships evaporate over much less.
Yes.
And then Andre is the boy next door. This is one of the things that some people are so mad about Andre. They say,
yes,
but it just also shows you how the fact of Roy's incarceration turns over every understanding we have about relationships. If you are an American and you live in American culture, one thing you know about boys next door, why do they put boys next door? Because you're supposed to marry them at some point.
You're supposed to marry the boy next door.
And marry them. So I tried to make he's the boy next door. He is the most wholesome person, but then people judge him for being wholesome. Like, look at him, so nice. And we have very few examples of someone having unconditional love for a Black woman, and we're suspicious of it. So people are like, he was just waiting in the cut, like he engineered this whole thing. But I was like, he's the boy next door. They came together. It happens. Roy would still be in prison today. Well, if he were real, Roy would still be in prison today. If Celestial and her family had not continued to pay his legal bills and fight for his release. She got him out. She got him out. She just didn't wait on him sexually, but she got him out.
And so why was it so hard for readers or for us to believe that there was a positive, loving Black man next door?
It's just that when Roy went to prison, look at Celestial's father. He wasn't even that into Roy. But once Roy went to prison, he became a symbolic person. He became a symbol of Black oppression. And so then it became like, if you are against racism, Celestial, you must be chaste for Roy, because that's how we're going to end racism, through chastity. I was able to identify with her because as a writer, as I was going through drafts, I had so many people, my early readers, mad at me because Celestial wasn't doing what they wanted her to do. So I felt like me and Celestial were in the same boat. Like, there were people mad at me for having the nerve to even think about this. Like, how dare you think about how dare you question the very idea that a Black woman has something to offer the world besides closed legs?
Oh.
And so, yeah, everybody was mad. It was a lot. And when you're writing a story and the story is unusual, like An American Marriage goes against genre expectations. Like when you say it's a book about someone who's wrongfully imprisoned, you're expecting a story more like if Beale Street could talk. Tragic love, unending sacrifice, that's what you think you're going to get. And when you end up with real people, when you're expecting people who know they're in a book or people who know they're on TV, people are like, wait a minute. Yeah. That's not what I signed up for. But it's what we have to sign up for. We have to really think of the different ways that we can contribute to one another's lives.
Yes, it's an incredible. Now, because we had this conversation, I'm gonna go back and read it again through different eyes. I am, because I mean I've been wanting. We've talked a lot about it, but now that I'm getting in depth with you to see, I'm gonna go back and read it again. Someone said, "How are you saying all of the things they mentioned in their book club?"
Well, I want to thank that person and their book club. Book clubs, Black women's book clubs have been my lifeblood since my very first book. Black women have taken care of, the readers have taken care of me. When I didn't have a book contract and I was in that really bad place, I got a package in the mail at my job and I opened it, and inside was a quilt that someone had made for me and said, "I know it's cold up there where you live." And I thought, my white colleagues, yes, they still have book deals. Yes, they've won prizes, but they don't have a reader sewing them a quilt. And Black women readers, and that's why, and I appreciate the trajectory of my career because, you know, I'm not somebody that the system plucked out of nowhere and said to Black women, read this person.
Yes.
Black women have been there with me. And then when things changed after American Marriage, it was a delight to see them there. And it was like something we had been through together. I always say, if you don't see some Black women in matching t-shirts or matching jackets, it ain't a Tayari Jones event.
It's not. And we were matching at our event for some reason.
See?
Yes, but it's just, I just love seeing everyone just so excited about the success. And see, I only have time for, I told you an hour was going to go by fast. I told you that. Let's talk about Half Light, because what I want to know about Half Light, so you guys, if you don't know, there's a short story collection, short story out on Audible, Half Light. It's only an hour long, and I wanted more. Like, please tell me this is going to be a book. I just envisioned like the mother story, and is it Toussaint the painter?
Yes.
I'm feeling like that's the story I want to have.
Well, okay. Half Light is a story of a pair of adult identical twin sisters. One sister has gotten a divorce and her other sister is her lawyer, and they commit a breaking and entering to get back a painting that she lost in the divorce. The painting is a painting of their mother that's in, you know, that's by a very famous very famous artist. And I actually had started writing a novel, not about the twins, but about the person they meet when they break into the man's house. They break into her ex's house, and there's a woman in there baking a pound cake.
Yes.
And, you know, you don't know this about me, but pound cakes are my love language.
Oh, okay.
I can make a pound cake. I mean, my pound cakes are so good, I have to be careful. That pound cake will change somebody's life. Like, I can't.
Oh, I'm gonna need you to send me one.
Yeah, I call it a man catching pound cake. I can't let random men have that pound cake because I'll never get rid of them. There was a man who was here fixing the electricity, and I gave him a slice, and that man has been harassing me ever since. And it's not about me; it's the pound cake. So
it's the pound cake.
You got to be careful how you aim that thing. But anyway, they break in and they find this woman. I had originally written a novel about her. I thought about, you're a young woman, you're there with your boyfriend, he's a little bit older than you, and you're baking a cake because your oven is out. And who comes breaking in the window but his ex-wife? Right. But for a short story, the ex-wife has a more interesting story. It's more interesting to be a grown woman, 2 kids, and your life has gotten to the point where you are committing to breaking and entering. Yes. Trying to get back at your ex.
In your ex-husband's house, nonetheless.
So she had the more interesting story.
And you steal the key from your daughter's keyring.
Where did you get it from? But it was a lot of fun to write it. I started writing it before the pandemic. So it's upbeat, it's funny, it's loving, it's about sisters. And so I have another Audible original coming out called Dispossession. And it kind of, I think, more reflects the mood of us in lockdown. That one is about a woman who sent her son to boarding school. You know how they have those boarding school programs where they take kids from difficult parts of town and they you can send your kid to Vermont. And so she was worried about the police and everything and her son's safety. And she sent him to Vermont to boarding school. And now he's a stranger. And she's really being like, is this progress? But I don't think I would have written that had we not been locked down, you know, in the last 6 months. But Half-Light, I was in a good mood when I wrote that. I was just writing.
Yes. And
laughing, so believing in love, reconciliation, believing in America.
Yes. Good feelings. And so we are taking questions. We are taking questions. But I want to know, since you mentioned it, how has your writing been affected during the pandemic?
It's so hard to write fiction because I feel like I'm playing with my imaginary friends while the world is on fire.
Yes.
And, you know, I really, really believe that fiction and stories and literature changes people's lives. But literature changes people's lives over the long run. I have the impulse to do something right now. Like, one of the things that allowed me to write the second Audible story is that I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And then I wrote a check to this bail fund for the kids who were being arrested in the streets. And I wrote them a big check. And when I wrote that check, it almost like it freed me up to write because I no longer felt like I was choosing between writing and doing something. So I wrote a check to this organization called FTP Bail Bondsman, Bail Fund, FT. I thought it stood for Free the People. I said, it stands for the police. I had no idea. I'm up here in my checkbook from my company. I'm like, FTP Bail Fund. I'm up here tweeting about it. Everybody should get the FTP Bail Fund.
Oh my gosh.
Apparently all young people know what that stands for.
I didn't know what it meant either.
I was like, oh, Free the People. That's so nice.
Oh my gosh. Okay, now we need to take questions because I got to get myself together. Hold on. Cindy's the one that said, how did you know all the questions that she had for her book club? But she wants to know, have you been reading and what's your last great read?
My last great read is a short story collection called If I Had Two Wings by Randall Keenan. Randall Keenan passed away about a month ago. He was my friend. And that book is short stories set all in a fictional town in North Carolina. But they're so good. Like, there's this idea that Howard Hughes, the eccentric billionaire, goes to this little town looking for the woman who used to cook for him when he was a child.
Okay.
And gets an adventure he had not anticipated on. Like, Randall was a wonderful writer, and that book is fantastic. And he published a book in August, and he passed away at the end of the month. So I have been really evangelizing for that. I've also been talking about The Street by Ann Petrie. The Street was written in 1947, sold 1.4 million copies. In 1947, a Black woman. That book is so good, and it somehow fell off the radar. But I've been
so good,
and it's back. They got a new version of it. Your book club should read it. You will not be able to put it down. You will laugh. You will cry.
Everybody should read it. My book club did read it. Diverse Finds did read it this year. You did the foreword for the new cover. And so it's phenomenal. It's a great story.
And it's a page turner too, right?
It is. And I hadn't heard of it until you told me about it, that you were, coming up, doing the foreword for this book. And so it's a great book. Everyone should read that book. It really is. Hold on. Let me get the questions.
Everybody should drink this wine. It is delicious.
It is good. Oh my God. Oh, I thought this too. Who asked this question? Hold on a second. West Side. I can't see the rest of it. How do you imagine a part 2 of American Marriage? Like, would there be a part 2 of American Marriage? How do you envision that?
I don't think there'll be a part 2 because I think they're good to go. To have another book, they need more problems. These people don't need no problems. They've been through a lot.
Okay.
I think they're just going to have regular problems, not book-worthy problems.
Hold on. Someone said, I think it's Erno 712. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. Was it just me, or are there similarities between Andre and Raleigh in Silver Sparrow?
Well, they are kind of next door. They are kind of similar. They're both really nice. and they both are pining for a woman. So I guess so. I hadn't thought about this.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, okay, that's a good. Yes.
Yeah, Raleigh. People always ask me about Raleigh. Some people feel sorry for Raleigh. They feel like, oh, Raleigh didn't have a life. But I'm like, he had a life. He just didn't have a wife. But
yeah,
Raleigh always wanted a family, and now he has two.
Mm-hmm. So another question is the titles of the books. Do you come up with them yourself, like Half Light, American Marriage, Silver Sparrow?
None of my books have the title that I was, when I was saving that file on the computer. They never have that original title. I'm just extra when it comes to titles. When it comes to titles, I'm like, remember when you were like 15 years old and you have a little notebook and you write the name of all your hypothetical children? It says too much, too many middle names, too many apostrophes, capital letters in the middle. And so my titles are always the most, and then I have to figure out a title that works better. Silver Sparrow used to be called Silver Girl, and then I found out
someone said that in the comments.
There was another book coming out called Silver Girl on the same day, and it was fearful that because I didn't have the profile of the other person, that I would be out promoting my book and people would accidentally buy her book and be like, wait a minute, I thought there were Black people in this. So I needed, but to change the title made it a community thing, because I need another title in 2 weeks. I was asking strangers. I was living in New York. I was on the subway saying, excuse me, I wrote this book and it's about two girls and they have the same father. What can you call? My daddy got in. My daddy said, you know, you should call that book, What Do You Mean That's Your Daddy? I was like, I don't know, Daddy. I don't think that has gravitas. He said people would buy it. But then I realized that His Eye Is on the Sparrow appears 3 times in that. And I was like, oh, Dana is the silver girl, but she's also the sparrow, because the sparrow is the least of these. And what you have done unto the least of these, you have done unto me. And that's how I found that title.
Yes, that's perfect.
And you know what I would say about that title? You know what? I'm like, that's nothing but God, because it's called Silver Sparrow, men and women can identify with it. And people say to me, I'm a Silver Sparrow son. I'm a Silver Sparrow daughter. Because there's no polite way to talk about yourself if you're born under those circumstances. Mm-hmm. No one wants to call themselves a love child, an outside child, but now they can call themselves Silver Sparrow. I got one short story. I know we run out of time, but I have to tell you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was in Milwaukee, and this woman bought 8 copies in hardcover, and she had me sign them to all these people. I thought it was her book club. And then when I came back for paperback, she came back and she gave me a little present. And she said, don't open this till you get back to your hotel. I said, okay, because I was busy. I had to do a lot of signing. And I opened it, and it was a picture of like 7 or 8 Black people, probably in their 50s, holding the book. I thought it was a book club. But on the back, she said that when her father had died, they found out that he had all these children, and that they read the book together so they could talk about the book as a way to talk about what happened to them.
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, that this book, Silver Sparrow, was God sent me to write that book for them. And then after that, I was done with the book tour, traveling, because I felt like, oh, I found the purpose of this book.
Mm-hmm. Someone just said they're a Silver Sparrow daughter.
Yeah, there are many, many, many Silver Sparrow sons and daughters. We have erased the stigma of being a single parent, but we haven't talked about this other thing. And there are all these people out there who are carrying shame that they should not.
Right.
Every person, I would say there are no illegitimate people. Every person is legitimate.
Every person is legit. I don't like the word illegitimate at all. So yes, I agree. Oh my God. Someone asked, did you ever consider a pen name?
No. You know what, though? I got to tell you, now that I have this unusual name, and like sometimes I do call-ins, like I was trying to change the ticket with Delta and get my money back since we can't fly no more. And the guy was like, we're not supposed to do this, but I want to tell you about that book. And it was flattering, but I really need to be getting my money back. So I wish I did have an extra name that I could use, you know,
for that.
Else.
Like when you check in hotels, use something different.
Yes, but it's fine. One good thing, though, is that in America, writers aren't celebrities like that. But every now and again, like I was wilding out in the airport because I have pre-check and Delta Clear, and they kept asking me for my ID, and I was like, no, I'm tired. And I was just having a fit, and I said, well, fine, take my ID, and I slammed my ID down, drama. And the woman was like, we read this in my book club. I was like, you know what? I want to say I'm sorry. I'm not normally like this. And she said, don't worry, I'm not going to tell them that you were wilding out.
Like, I'm not going to tell them that you were acting up in the airport.
But I was so tired. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I had been through a lot.
So you know what I envision so I'm going to tell you, before we got on live, I was like, okay, I was so nervous, but I'm like, you know what? I know her. And this is what I envisioned it was going to be exactly like this, that we were going to be laughing, we were going to be drinking, and that we were going to have a good time. And so I have to ask you, I know you said another Audible's coming up. Is there something else coming down the pike that you can share or you cannot share? Or
Well, it's a very busy pike. I have to learn how to do screenwriting. I've never written a screenplay before, so I'm trying to learn how to do that. And I'm also writing a novel about a woman who comes back home to Atlanta, because as one does, I live back home in Atlanta.
Because you're back in Atlanta now.
I'm back in my
we're in Vegas.
Habitat, and she moves into the exact house she grew up in, except now the neighborhood has been gentrified. So the house is fabulous now because she's a local girl made good. She went away and made her fortune. And she lives in the exact same, when she lived in a house, it had been cut up into apartments. But now it's just one beautiful, refurbished Victorian house that we have here in Atlanta. But the question of the novel is this: can you gentrify your own neighborhood?
Oh. Okay.
And you know how gentrification works block to block. So if she's living in the house she grew up in the West End, you go around the corner, those are the people she grew up with, but they're not living in houses in the way that she is, the way, the houses that are fixed up. So she's living in two worlds. Her name is Janice with an N, but everyone calls her Jaybird. That's her child.
That is so close to Janice.
I know it is. I just thought I would tell you. I'm excited, and I'm going to really start working on it in earnest November 1st. After November 1st, everything else is going to be off my desk, and I can focus. I hope I can focus, because we got this crazy ass election coming up. It's hard.
Vote. Everybody needs to vote.
Everybody should vote. Get your absentee ballot. You can take them in. You don't have to mail them if you're scared of the mail, but everybody should vote. And also go to Branch. It's a website where you put in your zip code and they give you information on all the candidates up and down the ballot. Because a lot of times we go in just to vote for president and we forget the rest of the ballot. But I love Branch. It really made me a more informed voter.
Branch. So go to that. We have 3 minutes. I just want to say thank you so much. I love you dearly. You have helped me so much, especially with my book coming out. I mean, I just think you have been a blessing, a mentor in my life, and I cannot thank you enough for everything. It is such a pleasure to know you personally, as a friend. And I many blessings to you. I just can't wait to see what's next.
Well, I am happy to be here and to celebrate your birthday with you.
Thank you.
One more time. Cheers, my dear.
Cheers. Take care. And your first live, see, it was perfect.
It was
now
easy.
Everybody, guess what? You're going to start getting the DM and email. Everybody's going to say, well, will you go live? Now you're going to have that because you've done it and you are a pro.
Well, this has just been all kinds of delightful, and also during this time of lockdown, it's just so nice to interact.
Yes, it is. It really is. And I'm so glad you said yes. You're like, oh, I'm free. I love spines, wind down.
I do. I didn't know how easy it was to do, but this is just, again, a pleasure. And thank you for all the work you do, getting the word. It's your word. People value your opinion. And so for you to vouch for me and to vouch for so many other people, it makes a real difference in our lives, not just our careers. It makes a difference in here. Because when you're sitting down to write the next book, these are the people you have to think about when you're writing your next book. Just remember that the people, you've connected with people, your work touched them. And then when they comment and stuff, they touch you back. It means everything. So thank you for making it possible.
You are amazing. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
Happy
I love
birthday.
you. Thank you. Take care.